Instant Sanka, the hearty coffee you can drink as strong as you like. It still can't upset your nerves. Brings you the Lucille Ball, Desi Arnaz Show. I Love Lucy.
It's time to tell everybody about a hearty coffee that you can drink as strong as you like. Instant Sanka.
Oh, well, now remember, dear, these Instant Sanka commercials only show close-ups of hands.
What do you think? I had 3 manicures today?
Shh. You're on.
Oh. Are you interested in a two-fisted cup of coffee? Then come closer. You want Instant Sanka coffee. It's all coffee. Gives you real coffee flavor 100%. Drink all you want and still stay steady as a rock. Honey, the rock.
Oh.
The rock. Drink all you want
And still stay steady as a rock. And it can't disturb your sleep either because it's 97% caffeine-free.
So...
Product shot,
The
honey.
what?
Product shot.
Instant Sanka, the hearty coffee you can drink as strong as you like. It's wonderful. You'll like it. You'll love it.
Commercial's over, dear.
Oh.
Monday, an episode unseen for 33 years. Join the Ricardos and the Mertzes
Merry Christmas, everybody.
for a heartwarming celebration as they light up the holidays with the I Love Lucy Christmas special. Monday, right after Major Dad.
Sitcom, all ye faithful, a Christmas podcast special. And for the 5th time I discussed 25 Christmas sitcom episodes. Please come and listen as we count down to Christmas. You should see Mr. Wilson, Tom Hanks, and Danny Thomas. Sherman Hemsley will return, and we head back to Springfield. We're definitely spending Christmas in Springfield.
Christmas!
Happy Wednesday, everybody, and welcome back to Sitcom, all ye faithful, where today I am here for the 17th day in a row talking Christmas sitcoms to you. Yes, it is December 17th, 2025. And today, I am here talking to you about what ABC News and People Magazine voted back in 2012 as the best TV show of all time. In 2013, the Writers Guild of America ranked it at number 12 of their list of the 101 best written TV series. And you may be saying to yourself, how can a guy do a podcast about Christmas sitcoms and wait 117 episodes before getting to what is pretty much the original, one of the biggest sitcoms of all time? 4 out of its 6 seasons, it was the most watched show in the United States, and yet I am here finally talking about it after 117 episodes. How could that possibly happen? And here's the funny thing. I wasn't even going to do this episode today. I was going to do a Lucille Ball show today, but it wasn't going to be I Love Lucy. Now, I've looked up this show a few years ago, and I said, does I Love Lucy have a Christmas episode? And the only thing I saw about it was it's a clip show. It's like hey, if you haven't watched us before, maybe check us out now. Here's some funny clips to catch you up on like what's going on. I think, and if I read that correctly, I think this is one of the first shows to ever do this. Now, I always go back to, and I didn't think I'd be talking about him. I talked about A Different World, but the Huxtable family, they, to me, were the first ones who did who I remember seeing do a clip show where they'd be like, remember that time we all sang and we all came down the stairs and Rudy went, baby. Like they do all these, they would kind of catch you up on things. And I remember as a kid loving it. I was like, oh, this is great memories. Because again, there was no internet. These clips weren't immediately put online and memed and watched over and over and over again. You couldn't just at your fingertips type something in and find it. This was the only way you saw a lot of these things. If you didn't see it the first time, this is the only way you could relive some of these things. And I think one of my favorite concepts that the show Community ever did was they did a clip show of adventures and things that happened to them that never was part of the show. Everything was original for that episode, but they made it look like this, long, like clip show of previous episodes, and that was not the case. And I always thought that was ingenious or genius. I'm not sure what the proper term is, but I looked this up and I said, it's not really an episode. It's more like just, they're sitting around talking about, hey, let's talk about things that happened before around Christmas time. And then today I actually watched 2 Lucille Ball sitcom episodes from 2 different series. And I watched the first one, and it was called The Lucy Show. And I was all ready to do it. I enjoyed it. I mean, it was fun for what it was. And then I looked up, like I was starting to look things up, and I was like, there's a picture of the main 4 cast members of Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz and Vivian Vance and William Frawley, who for some reason I always thought his name was Fred Mertz. Like I knew that Ethel was not Ethel. I knew her name was Vivian, but I thought that if you said who's William Frawley, I said, I don't know. You said, who's Fred Mertz? Oh, he's that guy from I Love Lucy and My 3 Sons and Miracle on 34th Street, which is a tie-in because my other podcast I do with my friends, Fine Movies, Fine Spirits, we're going to be talking about that soon. I've never seen it before, so I need to watch that because we're going to be recording it tomorrow night. But I don't think I knew his name was William Frawley. I think I always thought his name was Fred Mertz. And I just remember, like, he was so much older than her, like the actor and actresses. And there's a moment in this episode where there's mistletoe, and Desi like lays one right on Lucy. They're a real life couple, they're in love, so they kiss. Where Ethel puts the mistletoe up, and Fred's like, oh, he gives her a kiss on the cheek and a hug. And I was like, maybe Vivian Vance requested that. I don't know as far as like personal relationships, if they got along. It seems like Vivian Vance and Lucille Ball got along because Vivian showed up on this other show that I watched first. But when it came down to it, I looked up, I saw this picture of them all dressed as Santa, and I read that, and I saw a clip of online of them getting a tree, and I was like, this is pretty Christmassy. I don't think I should be doing a Lucille Ball show that isn't I Love Lucy first. So I made the executive decision to watch this episode, and yet it's not that easy to find. Archive.org has a copy of it in color. I found a copy of it in black and white with some like almost some commercials, a little some clips, but YouTube has a lot of commercials too. In fact, the very, very beginning where it says the Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz show brought to you by Sanka, that actually, if YouTube is to be believed, that is an actual clip from this night that the episode aired on Christmas Eve, December 24th, 1956. So I didn't think shows would put like a new episode out on Christmas Eve, but this is the type of episode that if you're watching, regular viewers, they don't really need to see it. If you're seeing it for the first time, I think a lot of people are getting TVs for the first time. So there's new viewers checking in. You're going to check this show out. You'll be like, I've heard about this. Now we're finally seeing it. Oh, we're seeing some funny things. Now without even seeing more than one episode, you kind of get a glimpse of to who these people are, and you get to watch their show. Except this is kind of the last season of the show. I don't think I realized that. There was only 6 seasons. So I'm like, wow, that's it? Now, if you said that today, or I shouldn't say it. If you said that in the 1980s and you said there was 6 seasons, you'd be like, wow, that would mean there is 120 episodes. That's still pretty good. About 22 times 6. What's that? 132 or something like that. There are 180 episodes of I Love Lucy. They did 30 plus episodes for the first 4 years. Then they did like in the high 20s in the last 2. And in the first year, there was only, if again, the ratings were big, the number wise, you'd be like a 50 share, but 7 million. Then they doubled that, but they had a 67 share. They had more than that, but it went down because this is the 1950s. To me, based on my upbringing of watching popular culture, I assumed that people started getting TVs in 1955 because that's when Lorraine's family first got their first TV. Now they could watch Jackie Gleason while they eat. They were shocked that Calvin Klein had, or I guess Marty, they finally decided to call him Marty. Marty had 2 TVs, but he's joking. Nobody has 2 TVs. And to me, that was like, oh, this is when people started getting TVs in their home. Oh, look at it roll. 1955. And yet it looks like, the early 50s, there were millions and millions of people. But by the end, by the last season of the show, they had the highest ratings ever. So it went up. You think shows would go down, but the first season, 7.7 million, second 13.7, 15.2, 15.1, then up to 16, then up to almost 17 million people. Now, I know you're going to say, well, Golden Girls had more watching on a Saturday night in 1986, again, because there were more televisions to be watched. But here's the thing I didn't realize. So I said, only 6 seasons? Then they kept it going with the Lucy Desi Comedy Hour, where they did 2 half-hour episodes. They did 5 of them, 5, and 3. So it was basically like 10 half-hour episodes, 10. So like they did another 26 episodes over the last couple of years, 58, 59, 60. I think that's where you see some of the guest stars showing up. I've seen clips. I go, wait, I knew that. That's not from I Love Lucy. That's from the Lucy Desi Comedy Hour. I didn't realize that. Now, what's annoying is that I Love Lucy is available on Paramount Plus. In fact, that was one of the things that threw me off a little too. So I looked this up, and this is another 11th episode. We've done it again, another 11th episode. This is season 6, episode 11. So when I went to Paramount Plus, I saw all the I Love Lucy's. I went to season 6. I went to episode 11, and it wasn't a Christmas episode. It seems like they never put this in syndication. It's not streaming officially anywhere. I don't know if it's on any home media. That's why at the beginning of this episode, you hear a clip from CBS talking about the quote-unquote lost episode. It hadn't aired in 30 years anywhere, because I guess this was kind of like a special thing. Now, they aired it in color. I saw the clip in color. In fact, the image that is on the thumbnail for this episode, or if you go to the website, fans.experts.com, you see the banner image. That actually was in color. But because I watched this in black and white, and it's better in black and white, I converted it to black and white before, adding it to the episode. The episode itself was fairly simple. It's Christmas Eve, and of course, in TV land, Christmas Eve means that's when you are trimming the tree. I don't think I understand what trimming the tree means. I grew up, I've never had a real tree in my life. I don't think I understood until kind of recently that trimming the tree means kind of getting it ready, decorating it. Like that means trimming it. I did not realize that. I always thought that meant like they get the tree and then they clip off branches to kind of get it shapely and make it nice for the house. So that's weird to me that they're trimming the tree. But I've never said, my family's never said trimming the tree, because again, our tree was in the attic. You bring it down, you bend out the wires, and then you get to decorating. And I loved it that way. I loved my family tree growing up. I think it's long gone. In fact, when I was older and my parents decided to, we're not going to do a tree this year, I was like, oh, what? Or then they got a smaller tree. Now they have a tree that kind of stands on a table. It's a nice looking tree, but it's not the tree I grew up with. But we still have some of the ornaments I grew up with, which is nice. And my wife and I, we have a even smaller tree, but we load it with as many ornaments as we possibly can. And I'm looking at it right now, and it's lit up. And again, it's in a box in the basement, and I got it at Home Depot. And you stretch out and it's pre-lit because, I'm a simpleton. And it's to the point where it's even that, like, I don't even go over and turn it on. I tell Google, I don't want to say it too loud, to turn on the Christmas tree, and boom, the lights go on. I wanted to do that for the Christmas candles that we have in our windows too. I need a couple other plugs, but we do the tree day after Thanksgiving. That's always been my tradition. I think it's been my wife's tradition, so it is our tradition as well. It's there for a month. It's like we enjoy it, and it stays up. Generally, growing up, it stayed up till New Year's Day. And I think that had a lot to do with on New Year's Day. I always thought that every family did this. They didn't. On New Year's Day, my dad's family, his brothers and sisters and all their kids, my cousins, would come over our house, and we'd have New Year's Day together. We'd have New Year's Eve with some friends, stay up till midnight, and then New Year's Day, the whole my dad's whole family would come over. And both my parents are school teachers as well, so we had the whole vacation off. Like, they were there. I mean, they were there all friggin' summer too, which is, that's why you go to your friend's house. But they were able to, like, enjoy it and just kind of have it. Like, it wasn't like rush it away because we go back to life and work tomorrow. Nope. We kept it up until New Year's Day, and kind of that tradition still lives, at least for my wife and I. She teaches in a school, and I work in a school as well. And so we always have Christmas week off. In fact, I'm 2 days away from getting 2 weeks completely off. And by that, I mean, my work is closed. It's a college. It's closed. So there's no, like, I don't come back to a bunch of emails and a bunch of work tickets or anything like that. It is like, I just come back and we kind of start fresh, and there's another year, and I'm excited for that. I'm getting sidetracked, but it's okay. So it's Christmas Eve in the Ricardo's house, and they're trimming the tree. Now, we've already got Ricky Jr., who I always thought was actually Desi Arnaz Jr., but it's just an actor. And he's sitting up waiting for Santa, and he's asking his parents questions, and they go back and forth of, you explain it to him, you explain it to him, which is kind of what they did on Make Room for Daddy at one point. But he's like, I'm a father, I can explain it. Here, they were just explaining things back and forth about how Santa gets here, how does he come through the chimney, and they basically don't want him to wait up, because he's like, if you wait up, Santa won't come. He needs, you got to go to bed, otherwise he won't come. I think, I don't know. I watched it this just like this morning, but it's like, you have to go to bed. So he's like, oh boy, and he goes to bed. And when he goes to bed, that's when Fred and Ethel come in with the tree. They didn't even have a tree until Ricky Jr. went to friggin' bed. So he hasn't seen a Christmas tree. So it's almost like Christmas Day is the day you see the tree. And wow, we have a tree, it's Christmas Day. Which that almost seems like it's part of the experience. It's Christmas, here's your tree, here's your presents, Merry Christmas, and then keep the tree up for a couple days, I guess. But I don't know. It's only in TV land have I ever seen that people are putting up their tree and decorating their tree on Christmas Eve. But Fred brought the tree in. He's all excited. Apparently they do this every year. They brought the tree in, and he paid $5 for it, $5 whole. And they get the decorations out. And Lucy's like, you know what? This tree's almost perfect. If you could just take this one little branch off. And like, we're not going to make him go down and get his saw to bring this branch off. Well, if he just takes this one little branch off. Now, Fred has his saw. He pulls it right out of his pocket. He goes, I've been trimming these trees for years. I know exactly what to do with this. Like, he's used to them. He's used to Lucy being this way. He's been doing this for so long. And they're like, ha, ha, ha. We've sure had some good times. And right when they said that, I knew it was time for our first little segue. Like, oh, what a time. And they're like, do you remember when we found out we were going to have Ricky? I can't believe it's been 5 years. And he goes, yes, you were so busy that I had to send you a note to the club. And it was cute. He we cut back. Now, this is an old episode where I assume this is an old episode. I don't think they did this for this episode. I assume this actually happened, where he gets a note saying, my husband's so busy, I wanted to let him know that I'm having a baby. He goes, oh, that's wonderful. Let me sing a song to you. And he goes around to different couples. He goes, is it you? Is it you? And they're like, no. And then he looks and he sees Lucy, and Lucy nods, and he starts singing, and then he stops. He's like, wait, what? It's me. And then he grabs Lucy and he kisses her, and they sing a song together, and it's like, my baby's having a baby. And it was really, really sweet. I thought it was like the fact that this was a clip show and this part isn't really specific to Christmas. You know, that was part of the reason I didn't really want to do it. I'm like, oh, they're not really spending time at Christmas. They're just reminiscing. But there's enough Christmas in this that it allows me to say, hey, this counts and I'm enjoying it. And this little sweet little moment was really nice. And when they stop, reminiscing, Lucy's crying, Ricky's crying, Ethel's crying, and then Fred's like, I'm crying too, but for a different reason. He got so carried away that he hacked off he wasn't paying attention. He was listening to the story. He hacked off almost every branch. It looked terrible. He goes, but at least everything's even now. And she's like, Fred, you go get another tree right now, or otherwise I'm telling Santa that you've been a bad boy. He's like, but I'm one of his helpers. You can't tell Santa. So he runs off to get another tree. And they're like, well, in the meantime, let's get these lights untangled. And they're looking at ornaments and looking at lights. And then Ethel and Ricky start singing Jingle Bells. First, Ricky is singing it in Spanish, and then Ethel starts singing it, and they start singing together. And then Lucy starts singing, and she sounds terrible. And they look at her. She's like, I don't know what happened. I lost my voice. He's like, your voice hasn't changed at all. You've always been this way. Maybe you lost your memory. And they're like, remember that time you sang with us? She goes, yeah, I sang with you at the barbershop quartet. And she's like, that was a lot of fun. He goes, that was the most embarrassing time of my life. It was almost the single most embarrassing moment of my career. But for some reason, Ethel and Fred were part of the barbershop quartet, and they were expecting. So then we go to this little flashback. And this is some good physical comedy. So they're all dressed up in this traditional barbershop quartet. Fred and Ethel have black wigs on. All three of them have black mustaches, and they're dressed in the kind of the barbershop looking. They almost look like the W.B. Mason guy. I don't know if you know W.B. Mason. I don't know if that's just a Boston thing, but they look like that guy. And they look like old-fashioned barbers with the bow ties, and they sing a song. I don't know why Fred and Ethel are singing this. I know in the show why they are, because they're the stars of I Love Lucy. I don't know why in the story why their friends and neighbors are performing with them. Are they known to be singers? Is Ethel a singer? Is Fred a singer? But they sing this song, and then they thought someone else was supposed to be in the chair. There's someone with a hot towel in a chair. They thought it was supposed to be this performer or maybe a famous guy. I don't know. And they're singing this whole song, and it's cute. And then they unwrap the towel, and it's Lucy. And they're like, she starts singing. She sounds horrible. So they all three of them have a foaming brush to put shaving cream on, and they shove it in her mouth. First, Ricky shoves one in her mouth. Then Ethel shoves one in her mouth, and she pulls it out, and tries to sing. And then Fred does it. She pulls it out. Then they all hold their brushes in front of her like they're threatening her. And they get really close, and she shoves them, and all three of them put the brushes in their own mouth. So there's no way that was in other words, that looks like a great performance. You think the crowd would love it, and it's part of the performance because it's so choreographed. And yet they're saying that they weren't expecting her, and this wasn't the way it was supposed to be. I liked it. I thought it was funny. And then it said this, and then it cut away to now it's time for Sanka. The actual Sanka commercial that I have at the beginning with Ricky and with Desi and Lucy is not from this episode. The clip at the beginning definitely is, though. So we come back, and Fred comes back with another tree, and it's so close to Christmas. The guy was so desperate that he'd only charged him $50. So he got this tree, which is better for 50 friggin' cents. So she's like, it's perfect except for this branch. Like, no. She's like, you're right. Then they talk about, wow, I can't believe, how long it's been. Oh, first we get the mistletoe joke where Lucy holds mistletoe and Desi comes in, gives her a big old smackaroo, big hug, and how much they love each other. And then Ethel does it to Fred, and he's like, what do you want me to do with that? You look silly. And then he goes, oh, I'm just kidding. Gives her a kiss on the cheek and a little hug. It doesn't look passionate. I'll just put it that way. Not that I'm looking for Fred and Ethel merch to show me passion, but I see the difference between Lucy and Ricky. I notice the difference. It is noticeable. So they start talking about, can you believe it's been so long? They're again reminiscing about their being a dad and being parents, and I can't believe it's been 5 years. And like I remember it like it was almost yesterday. And then we cut back to an old scene where Lucy was pregnant, and this was very funny. And I don't know if I've seen this, but it's probably a very memorable moment where Lucy's knitting and she's pregnant, and they're all just staring at her. And she's like, she's upset that they're staring at him, and they're like, we need to be ready because we have to take all of this. Someone has to call the doctor. Someone has to get your stuff. Someone has to get a cab. And Lucy's like, oh, don't worry about me. I just have to have the baby. And she's like, you know what? I'm going to go lie down. So she goes and lies down, and they all rehearse what they're going to do. So he says, let's say Lucy comes out and says, it is time. Then Fred goes and gets one thing. Ethel gets on the phone and calls the doctor and says, we're coming down with Mrs. Ricardo. And Ricky goes and gets Lucy. And Fred gets the bags and heads out. Everything goes perfectly. That was great. Let's do it again. They do it again. Everything goes perfectly. In fact, it goes better. Like, oh, this was even better. Like, great. And then Lucy comes out and goes, they're like, they sit down. They're like, this is going to be perfect. We are ready. We are prepared. Lucy comes out and goes, Ricky, it's time. And they panic. Fred gets up and Desi gets up and Ricky gets up and they hit into each other. Ricky falls on the couch. Ricky falls on the couch. They grab and Fred and Ricky are arguing and pulling at the luggage. The luggage goes everywhere. The phone is busy when they're trying to call the doctor. Everyone's freaking out. They're like, we got to get the cab. They, all three of them, run out of the house to get the cab, leaving Lucy alone with her luggage everywhere. Then they're gone. I think she's like, hey, wait for me. And that was the end of that scene. We come back, and this is where we get more Christmas and a little magic. We come back, and the first thing we see is Santa, or someone dressed as Santa, setting up some toys. Then Lucy comes out dressed as Santa with some gifts. Then Ricky comes out with a bike, and he's dressed as Santa. And then Ethel comes out and she's dressed as Santa. So they're like, oh, all of us dressed as Santa. This is funny, but we can't let Ricky, he's going to wake up. I guess we all have the same idea. Ricky's going to wake up. He can't see us all like this. He can't see four Santas. So they all run into the kitchen together and they look through the door, and Desi Arnaz Jr., Ricky Jr. comes out. He sees a drum set. Now, I don't know if this kid can play the drums, but he definitely looks like he can. He beats the drums really good, and the parents are looking on, all happy. They close the window, and they're all there dressed as Santa, the four Santas, and they're all like, this is so wonderful. What a wonderful Christmas. Now we can go in there. One of us has to go in there and say hello to him. And then Fred comes in, and he's dressed as Santa. And you're like, wait a second. Something's not right here. And Lucy holds up her hand and says, 5. She looks at Ethel and she pulls her beard down. Okay, you're Ethel. Ethel pulls her beard down. You're Lucy. Ricky does the same thing. Pulls down the beard of Fred. You're Fred. Fred pulls at Ricky. Then there's one guy in the middle who's like looking at them. He's got a big bushy beard. They go to pull his beard and he goes, ow. And they all look at him like, what? And then he looks at them all and disappears. He literally fades away. And then all four of them look into the camera and say, Merry Christmas, everybody. And that is the end of the episode. But not before we get a commercial for Lilt Home Permanent. Then there's a quick ad for Sanka, and that's the end of the episode. They don't come back or there's no finish. That was it. So you got, how many flashbacks? You got them talking about Ricky or Lucy being pregnant, them talking about Lucy joining that barbershop quartet, and then you got the big moment where Lucy was about to give birth, or she's going into labor. I think that's it. Either way, it was a perfect episode of television because you got some funny stuff going on, you got some Christmas stuff going on, but at the same time, you got to see maybe what you were missing out on as far as old episodes of I Love Lucy. Because again, it's a different time. If you're watching this episode, I would guarantee a lot of people are seeing it for the first time, and then they're like, "Oh, there's a few episodes left, and the show's gone." Again, it comes back in a different kind of version, but I Love Lucy is done after this 6th season. But Lucy comes back. I mean, what is there? The Lucy Show, the Life with Lucy, Little Lucy. Oh wait, that's Little Louie. But I feel like she has a sitcom almost every decade that she's, still active. I think, did she die in the 80s or in the 90s? Let me look that up. Lucille Ball passed away in 1989. I knew it was really close, and I remember being old enough to remember that Lucille Ball passed away, that like I knew who she was. I knew what I Love Lucy was. I think Nick and Night was already a thing. So to me, the reruns were already prominent in like my consciousness, even though I didn't really watch them. In fact, what's funny is when I think of I Love Lucy, I don't think of like my parents used to watch this, or my dad used to tell me about this show. I think of these friends of our family. My wife, when she was a student teacher, she connected with one of the students. Like she kind of really did well with him, so much so that the parents were like, "Hey, could you babysit our son and his twin daughters who are a few years older than him?" And that led to, "Hey, my boyfriend's going to babysit too." And that led to years of just family friendships, being at like weddings. They were in our wedding. We were at one of their weddings. There was like birthdays, pool parties, just years and years. And like a lot of it was babysitting. Like the parents could go away and they could trust that Tammy and Mike would be there to come on in and hang out and be good babysitters. We were good at that. We were a good team with that. And they had a pool, which was great. The one thing that they probably shouldn't have done is asked me to paint one of the girls' bedroom, because I can't do that. I try. That's a sitcom right there. I got a friend who was helpful and knew how to do it, and he kind of helped because I was friggin' terrible at it. But when we used to babysit them, we would watch Nickelodeon, so you'd see a lot of all that. But they also loved I Love Lucy. These kids were like 10, 11, 12, and the younger son was, I don't know, I don't exactly remember the age difference, but it was like I think of that family and those kids and hanging out with them, and we're talking college time, so in the 90s, and maybe in the 2000s too, definitely. But it was mostly like the mid to late 90s. And kids. Now they had a computer. I don't know if we had internet, but I remember they had a computer. We'd play and we'd hang out and play with it. They had like games on it. I was like, "Oh, you have a computer? I want to play it," because it was better than our computer. And yet they loved I Love Lucy. And I think of those kids. And if there's any chance they're listening, they know who they are. But that's who I think of when I think of I Love Lucy. And it's just, I love that I think of someone. And now, I have another show that I could talk about someday, because there is another episode, another Christmas episode that Lucille Ball stars in. And I watched it today, but I'm not talking about it today. And I'm not talking about it this year. But someday, I didn't think I could do 2 Lucille Ball shows. And again, the fact that this show was more Christmassy than I thought it would be, how could I not do I Love Lucy first? Couldn't. So I didn't. Wait a minute. I didn't not do I Love. I couldn't not do it, so I didn't not do it, which means I did do it, and there's proof of that because you just heard it. All right, I am losing my brain right now, which means it's time to go, my friends, but I will be back tomorrow to talk more Christmas sitcoms to you, and I'm excited about tomorrow's because tomorrow I'm talking about a show that I loved, and I know my wife watched it with me. Might have been when we first got married. Now, this episode, I think, was before we got married, but I remember watching this show together in our house when we first were newlyweds. I haven't seen it in years, but I love the guy who stars in it, and I completely forgot about this show. So I can't wait to revisit this episode and watch this and talk about it with you, but that's tomorrow. Today was all about I Love Lucy, and today's episode, as I may have mentioned, it premiered on Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve, December 24th, 1956. Now, maybe people didn't really know how to deal with television back then because according to TV Tango, there was a lot of new episodes of television on Christmas Eve. On ABC, the Danny Thomas Show had a brand new episode called Christmas and Clowns. At 9:30, Lawrence Welk's Top Tunes and New Talent, a brand new episode. On CBS, the George Burns and Gracie Allen Show, Christmas in Jail. Okay, I just discovered a show that I'm 100% putting on my list for the future. George Burns, Christmas in Jail, that's going on the list. Followed at 8:30 by something called Arthur Godfrey's Talent Scouts. Now, on NBC, they had The Adventures of Sir Lancelot. I don't know if that was it doesn't seem like that would be a sitcom, but it was half hour, followed by something called Stanley, something called Can Do, and then at 9:30, Robert Montgomery Presents. I don't know what that is. But as I said, I Love Lucy was a CBS show. Now, here's the thing. I'm looking at TV Tango, December 24th, 1956. I don't see I Love Lucy on this list. There is an open slot on CBS. But right before the December Brides episode, which was followed by Studio One, there's nothing listed at 9 o'clock. Could that be when it aired? I'm going to look up TV listings for that day to see if there's any other website that shows what's going on. Daily Count, like this Old Farmer's Almanac, that's not going to show me anything. Movie and TV history on this day. This is what bothering me. If you're going to make a website that's going to archive television, get it right. IMDb says this aired on Christmas Eve, 1956. But I can't find any other TV listings. Like the first thing that pops up in Google search when you do a TV listings for a specific date is the TV Tango, the website that I use. And my guess is that it was on at 9 o'clock that night. That's just a guess if everything else is correct. But I don't know. I just don't know. But anyway, that's it for I Love Lucy. Wonderful experience. I'm glad I watched it. It is a fun special, and it does catch people up who are just getting TVs. I was looking at IMDb trivia to see if there's anything that talked about the time slot, and it said this was the first clip show ever shown on TV, and it was definitely put together to try to get new people who just got TVs to kind of get caught up and with the show, which makes sense. I didn't understand. I always thought it was an excuse to just put an episode out. You got a new episode, but you don't really have to do much. But maybe that is what happened, in the 80s, but in the 50s, it definitely seems like it served a bigger purpose. Okay, that's it. I am done here, but as I said, I will be back tomorrow talking about a fun episode of television that I'm looking forward to revisiting. But until then, you can follow me on all the socials at Geek Mentality, except TikTok, which is Geek Mentality Mike. On Facebook, the page is Fans.Experts. I don't do a lot there, but if you're on there, throw me a follow. On YouTube, the channel is Fans.Experts. That's because the website where all my podcasts are found is fans.experts.com. That's it. I'm done. I'm going to go watch the Survivor finale. I will see you tomorrow, my friends. But until then, thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. And here is my theme song.
This is my podcast. I made it. Geek Mentality's what I named it. And I think you should listen and subscribe. 'cause I'm kinda funny and awesome. I think that I'm worth your time, and I'm kinda handsome. My mom says, please listen and please subscribe. At least listen to this episode.
I Love Lucy, starring Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz, has been presented for your pleasure by Instant Sanka, the hearty coffee you can drink as strong as you like. It still can't upset your nerves. I Love Lucy is a Desi Lou production. Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz will be back next week at the same time.
Stay tuned for December Bride, starring Spring Byington, which follows immediately over most of these same stations.
Breaking news. If you're still on the podcast, right there it says December Brides, followed by December Brides. Ladies and gentlemen, that clip, though that commercial, that ending was from the exact night, December 24th, 1956. December Bride aired at 9:30 p.m., which means now for a fact that I Love Lucy's Christmas episode aired at 9 p.m. I feel like I should contact TV Tango and let them know of this so that they can correct this issue. See you tomorrow.
Fast, not experts.